Hey guys, we're at Western Tech here in our motorcycle division. What we got here is a couple of guys getting ready to remove a bearing from inside a two-stroke transmission case. They've went ahead and they've been preheating up the case. Why don't you go ahead and start doing that again? We've taken a little bit of a break. And what we're going to talk about here is that there's a definite relationship to the fact that that bearing is larger than that case. And what these guys are doing, Pax, can you show the temp gun there? Show me the dial there. What he's doing is they're checking the temp there. They'll go ahead and they'll move the heat gun away, and then check the temp. We're seeing about 185, 190 degrees. When that case gets to be 220 to 250 degrees or so, that bearing will probably just fall out if we flipped it over. But what we're going to do is show an attempt to use another tool called a blind bearing tool. So you guys want to start to set that blind bearing tool up. Go ahead and put the pilot in first. And while he's doing that, grab one of these out of the case there, Lionel, and hold that up. So, show how that threads. Yeah, perfect, right there. And what happens is you're going to push a point through the middle of that. That's going to basically spread this out. And this little lip right here is going to grab on the underside of that bearing. Then we're going to use the slide hammer to basically pull it up. So right now they're getting it set up here. And you got to be down through the bearing, right guys? Because we're going to get those lips to catch on the bottom side there. So, now, okay, take a look at that. This is a great example here. Go ahead and just pull it up. These guys, the interference fit on this case, that bearing wouldn't fall out of there before, but with enough heat, it went ahead and just popped out of there. Go ahead and set the bearing back in there real quick. The tool was still really nice to basically hold it on there. So that case is still large enough right now that we would be able to install the bearing properly, unthread the tool, let it cool back down, and then it'll retain itself. But go ahead and attach the slide puller to it just so the YouTube video can be complete here. Now what I say about not pinching your fingers with the slide hammer?
Make sure the hammer part's down.
Make sure that weight is down. Now what these guys are just going to do here is demonstrate that you thread that on and then go ahead and hammer it up. Did you notice how it took one hit on that? What's happening? It's cooling down here. So here's the difference, guys. If you go to the service manual, they're probably going to tell you to go ahead and just use the slide hammer and remove the tool. But if we go ahead and use some heat in a controlled fashion, do it really even, does it make our job a lot easier? A heck of a lot easier. With this in mind, and you guys are understanding that relationship between hot and cold or whatnot, I want you to think about something. When you put that parts washer in that 130 to 150 degree tank, does that make sense now why bearings fall out and dowel pins fall out and everything else? So what we're really doing here is we're really figuring out that relationship. But normally we have to actually get that to about 220 to 250 degrees. We'll normally go to about 220 and then we'll use the slide hammer and it'll pop it out with just minimal effort. Does that make sense? So now for the installation, it's going to be the same as we've done in previous videos for seal installation. So you guys could check that out as a review, but we'd use a driver. We'd want to go ahead and now, look how nice it is now to heat that case up because the bearing's out of the way. Just hold the heat gun up to where you do it, where you heat it up. Now we can get right in there and actually do it from the inside. We just go in small circular motion to get that up to, like I said, 220, 250 degrees, and that new bearing will just pop right in there. The reason we want to do this is we don't want to stress the case as we're popping that bearing in there. If we stress the case and we get crooked with that bearing, what's going to happen? We're going to ruin the engine case, okay? So then it starts to be pretty expensive. Sound good? Well, that's how you use a blind bearing puller and some heat to remove bearings.